Howdy.
Hello.
So today we have a little project. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a large project. What we are going to do is rotate the tires. Yeah. So when we were in Colorado with Rob, he mentioned we should change out the lug nuts. So I want to do that. So I ordered new lug nuts, which I'll go over in a minute about all the lug nuts and why we're doing that. But since we're redoing the lug nuts, I've got to undo the wheels. I figured we have a couple thousand miles on these new tires now, so let's rotate them as well. So changing the lug nuts and rotating the tires today. And since we're in there, what we're also going to do is address any of the rust that's on the axle of the wheel. These lug nuts are coming off, so we're not going to have to worry about that rust, but I want to get all the rust in here, rust around the edges here. And we have a little bit of damage to these rims from, I believe, when we got the new tires, but we're going to address the rust that's around there because of the damage to the rims. So this is going to be our plan for the rotation. So I guess if you have a four-wheel drive, you're supposed to do an X rotation. So the back goes to the other side front, and that one goes back the other way, and then the other back goes to the other side front and then back down. But we want to also incorporate the spare, so we are doing what is called a 5-wheel forward cross. So this is how that works. And basically we're going to start in the back here, just like this diagram. This is our spare. It hasn't seen the road yet. We're going to move this spare to here. Then we're going to take this wheel, move it to the front. We're going to take that wheel, move it to the back. We're going to take that wheel, move that to the front, and then that wheel will become our spare. Let's do it. All right, let's talk lug nuts. I wanted to talk about this because I do have two different types on hand. So it's interesting, I think, and might be useful to somebody. So basically, I'm going to talk about two different types of lug nuts. We have this flat type here, and then we have this beveled or conical shaped ones here. These are the ones that came on our truck, these flat ones, and these are the ones I just bought. These are 27 millimeter, and these are 24 millimeter. So there's definitely a difference in size. These are much smaller, well, 3 millimeters smaller. So each of these correspond to a different rim type. So these flat ones came with our truck on these rims, and you can see here they have a flat profile. So flat. That's what they come on. Now these rims are supposed to be heavier duty, and I did measure the thickness of these rims, and they're about 11 millimeters versus 9 millimeters on these other rims, which I'll show you now. You can see these rims, they're slightly thinner, but they also have this bevel on each one, where each one of the lug nuts goes, and that corresponds with the beveled lug nut. So Rob was saying that I should probably get these nuts to go with these wheels, because these are the wheels we are running now. What we ended up doing originally was I just put the new wheels on, and I used the old lug nuts that came with the other wheels. So you can see those are on there. Now, I think two benefits to these, to switching to these, would be that these are going to sit deeper, so we get more thread coming through each one of these lug nuts. So they'll actually, the post should stick through and have a little bit sticking out each one of these. So that seems like it's a good idea to me. More threads the better, right? These are your wheels. The other thing was, he was saying that because there's a lot of play around each one of these lugs, and you don't have the bevel holding that lug center, this whole wheel could potentially clock one way or the other, which isn't the end of the world. This ring keeps the wheel center so it won't like be out around, but I don't think you ever want your wheels moving in any direction. You know, so that wouldn't be a good thing necessarily. But these have worked fine. We've put thousands of miles on them. So I don't think it's the end of the world if you use these, but these are better. Now, what I don't think you would want to do, and I think I've read this in places, you wouldn't want to use these cone-shaped ones or conical-shaped ones on the flat rims. You probably wouldn't want to go that direction. All right, Gina is going to take sandpaper and take off this rust, try to get that down, and then we'll tape it off and paint it. All right, it is day 2. Yesterday, what we did was we taped off this entire wheel, spray painted the edges, getting rid of that rust after we sanded it, and there's a few other scratches. So I was told by the powder coater that we could just use satin black paint over the top of powder coat to deal with any scratches that could potentially happen. So that's actually what we did, and looks fine. And then we taped off these bolts, and I just used a piece of cardboard to block the rotor, and we painted this whole thing. So that is one wheel done. Gonna let it sit for a little bit longer and cure, and then we'll put this wheel on here. This is the paint I ended up using. I just used rust reformer so I could go over whatever surface rust was on there. I mean, I took a wire wheel to it, but I wasn't about to take that down to complete bare metal with 0 rust. And then I just put this, I put 2 coats of that, and then put 2 coats of that over the top of it. Grease the threads. We are going to torque these to 400 Newton meters, which is 295 foot-pounds. Got this giant wrench. Let's do it. Lastly, I got these little arrow things. These are called wheel nut indicators or lug nut indicators. There's a bunch of different companies that make these. I've actually put a post on our website about it, kind of a blog with all the different companies and what they offer, because it was actually kind of hard to find some that would fit this. These are 24 millimeter, like we said, so you got to find 24 millimeter. And then it was pretty easy to find them in like high-vis yellow, which is just like a bright fluorescent yellow. And that was easy to find. You could find those in a number of places in the right size. But any other colors, very tough. So I ended up having to settle for this kind of olive gray color. And yeah, that was the best I could do. That was the only other color I could find in this size. I kind of wanted orange so it'd match the truck, but whatever. And that probably would have looked kind of goofy anyway. So these are what we have, and then we're just going to push these on. So you can see there's a nice pattern here. And you put these on after you torque the nuts down, and then put this pattern on there so that now you can walk around the truck at any time and inspect quickly and easily. And if any one of these is off of the pattern, you know immediately that you have a loose wheel nut and you need to torque it back down again. So pretty handy, something I've wondered for a while. And since I was doing this whole thing, I decided to go for it. All right, one wheel down. So nice, pretty painted. No more rust. No more rust in the center. New wheel nuts. New wheel nut indicators. I think we are good to go on this one. According to our diagram, we have done that one. That was we put the spare on there, so that's a brand new tire. And then now we need to move that one to the front driver's side. Yeah. All right, we have our second wheel off. This is what it looks like. Pretty much the same as the other one. Just some rust going on in here, so we'll wire wheel all of this. And while I'm in here, I'm going to put some grease in that zerk. You can definitely see it oozing out the bottom, so I think we're good. Pretty sure that's not going in there. We're going to address that later. Wheel number 2. All right, so I know why these differentials are offset in the Unimog. It's for better clearance. That makes total sense, love it. But if you're trying to use jack stands like these, it does make it more difficult to, on the short side, be able to jack it up and get a jack stand under here. So I end up putting it on the differential itself, which I don't really like doing, but it's just there for safety. So I don't actually set it on the jack stand. I still leave it on the jack itself, but if it were to fall, it would put the differential on here. So that's better than me being crushed to death though, so I think I'm okay with that. But yeah, this is definitely a short, very tight area trying to get things in here. And also, if you don't know, finding jacks that you can use on a Unimog are pretty tough here in the States, because all trucks that are this heavy don't have the height, the axle height. So this one's definitely very weird. So all your heavier jacks are shorter, and I guess all jacks are shorter for that matter. Even your lighter ones don't have this kind of height. Nothing has the height of a Unimog, so it's hard to get one that's tall enough and heavy enough. So you end up having to stack things like this to get the height. And this one from Harbor Freight is actually pretty cheap, so I recommend it. It works. The air part of this jack does not work very well. It kind of tops out and then it won't go any higher. So I don't know why. Maybe it needs servicing or something, but I end up just using this, and that's fine. It doesn't take that long. It's not worth really even bringing out the air compressor and extension cord and blah blah blah. Just use the handle. There are Unimog specific jacks. You can't find them here, so buying them and shipping them, very expensive. But if anyone's got an extra one, let me know. Be nice not to have to stack wood. Stacking wood. Third wheel down. Let's go to number 4. I do want to talk about the process of painting these rims.
First thing, taping it off, and then identifying all the little rust spots, sanding those off without potentially trying to preserve as much powder coating as possible. And then I'm cleaning it off now with alcohol, which as I clean it, I see more things that need to be sanded, so it's kind of an iterative process. And then you'll paint.
All right, so since we're in here, just like the other one on the front, we have a Zerk here, so we're going to put some grease, and then there is another one down below here. Now on the other side, that one wouldn't take any grease, so we'll see if this one does. Now this one is not full of grease. There's a little bit there, but that makes me think that the last time we tried to put grease in, it actually went in, so that's good news. Oh, I see. I was wondering why this was covered in grease, like old grease. It comes right out of there, so I'm guessing that seal, there must be some sort of seal there that needs to be replaced, because it's not coming out the bottom yet. But that's, I'm guessing, not supposed to be that way. But that is for a different time. We will note it and deal with it later. So this one is located right here. And if all goes well, we should get grease popping out of there. A lot of grease did not go in. But I feel like some of it must have. I definitely didn't get any grease coming out of here anywhere, so note that as well. We are done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our wheel rotation and lug nut changing and the addition of the wheel nut indicators. So that's the front, that's the back on that side, that's that one, and there's Gina. We did learn that if you want to paint the hubs while you're at it, like we did, this is a week-long project. If you don't want to do painting, then you could probably, I'm sure you could easily get this done in one day.
We just took them off, sanded, painted, degreased, not in that order. I think they turned out great though. They look good. Oh yeah, they turned out good. Thanks for watching.